When you read the newspapers or listen to the radio, digital transformation is everywhere, and disruption is growth is the new mantra in corporate life. Um, why not stuck to Joseph Schumpeter's creative destruction? Because newcomers are way faster and better than the traditional players, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Joseph Schumpeter was right where he says that there's these waves of creative destruction that remake industries. Now, one of the things that we're seeing today is that existing companies, they have legacies, they have assets, and they're not that harmful. I mean, yes, they can be harmed and you can attack them, but they can respond. And one of the big things, the big theoretical developments now, and that's why it's called disruption, is the whole idea about disruptive innovation, where you can actually start looking at, okay, if as an existing company you do everything right, you will be unsettled by those new entrants. But now we know. So now we know that we need to prepare for this. And that's why so many companies are on top of this, are looking at this and how to respond. They still face tremendous difficulty in trying to formulate a response, but at least they are aware that they need to do something.
Do they?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Schumpeter is still right. The biggest problem I have with the focus on Schumpeter is that it seems as if it's the only option that modern companies have, which I completely disagree with. I think that as an incumbent of an industry, you have multiple options. And one of the options is definitely to disrupt yourself, either with disruptors in the market or simply by yourself. The biggest thing, however, that you can do is often leverage some of the strengths you have or some of the dormant assets. And that puts you in a different scenario, a scenario of transformation where you start from your existing business rather than throw everything out like the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, you want to create a sense of urgency, and I think that's why we're seeing all of this. It's the ideal vehicle to get the company to move, to act.
How fast should you go into this digital transformation as a company?
Well, there's different perspectives on this. You can innovate within your model. You can what they call the sandbox kind of innovation, where you put something on the side. And what I typically say is you can place bets. You can place like multiple side bets, and you can try and figure out, okay, I have my existing business, I can innovate within that business, but I can also do things outside of that business, aligned with what's happening out there in the market. And I can actually then try, because this is a difficult process, to have that company square with the opportunity that is out there, while at the same time I have my existing business, which has grown up in a completely different way and which may have some difficulty dealing with those placing those multiple side bets, what you're doing, because that is, and to some extent, to a large extent, at odds with your traditional way of doing things.
That you have business on two speeds. Is that a good thing or is the risk?
Well, I would step back for a moment and don't just talk about two speeds, but you have to play a betting game. Steve is completely right when he says you have to bet. And the key point is you have to bet now. You can't wait. There's these digital realities out there, and they are realities. Now, how fast are you gonna progress? Well, that depends on what you can absorb as change in your organization, basically. So what I would say is, yes, you have to start now, and dependent on the potential of your organization to move fast or faster, you're gonna tune, and a lot will have to do with the power of your leadership to pull along the whole organization in this journey.
What are the signs when you know you truly have a digital savvy business, Steve?
When you're on top of the mountain, as you would say, yes. Well, I think if you definitely have your act together in terms of you have your legacy business, you kind of reinvented it to cater to these new realities, as Stan called them. So it's really crucial that you kind of meet those new needs out there in the market, that you come up with new profitable business models, and that you figure out a way to do that. So the signs obviously are, I would say, the traditional signs that, again, the customer picks you, that the customer is satisfied, is delighted with what you're offering, that the financial results follow because of that, and that you can keep the competition at bay, and that you're actually, what I would say, kind of call digital proof, that as new technologies emerge and improve in terms of their performance, that you're always on top of them and a step ahead of the competition in turning these opportunities into profits.
But I think the key point here should be you have to have an ambition here. We work with quite some companies. Many of them are in the financial services industry. We've done a brilliant case together with KBC Banking and Insurance in Belgium. And what you see is that they take a longer term view. They started about 2 years, 2.5 years ago to really transform their organization. They're putting a lot of money and effort on the table. The first step was to create a band of brothers at the top of the enterprise and then gradually move through the challenges basically of adapting your organization. When it comes to how do you measure this, how do you see this, I think you can see it on two sides. One, indeed, whether your net promoter scores or your customer satisfaction really goes up and whether what you're doing really fits with what the market wants, but also, and that might be something that is underemphasized often if you want to measure the success of your transformation, is how you recreate the insides of the organization. And when we were discussing with KBC in writing the case, many of the managers emphasized that during the first 2 years, the major leap was taken inside the organization. How the organization now acts, how they act together, what emergent type of behavior is coming about that in the future will be leveraged, hopefully exponentially.
And then finally, what if you don't take or make the step into a digital economy? What happens to you as an organization?
Well, the thing is, you obviously can, I mean, what I typically say is that people tend to overestimate what will happen in the short run and underestimate what will happen in the long run. And so these companies are like saying, okay, there's not going to be too much impact on my business. So they immediately take the position that there's not going to be any impact on them. But I mean, below the surface, it is happening. Behavior is changing. Industries are being redesigned. So at some point, they will start to feel the heat. There are indeed some companies out there with solid business models that are saying like, okay, at this point, I don't sense this. But there's also multiple stakeholders. These companies need to attract shareholders. They need to attract talents. These people are looking for organizations that are pretty modern, that are looking forward, and they want to be affiliated and associated with companies like that. So even there, you will start feeling it one way or the other that you're missing out on an opportunity. So that's one thing. The other thing is there's nothing wrong with innovation. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you try it? So why wouldn't you set another business on the side? Stan and myself, we have also written a case on BNP Paribas as a group that launched a new mobile bank, Hello Bank, in 4 countries. And so there they said, okay, let's just do this and see what happens in these different countries. In one, we're the market leader, in the other, we're the follower, in another, we're a niche player. So how can we go about that? What can we learn from each other? And how can that become potentially the bank of the future?
Yeah, many companies that don't think they need to move just basically don't see it. The first thing that we typically do as a business school is just put the proposition on the table that it could be possible that there is some value in moving towards a digital type of business model. Mm-hmm. And once they're open to this kind of proposition, what we would suggest is that they just take a bet, as we said in the beginning, that they take one of the bets while they continue what they think will be still a very profitable, growth-based model, but that next to that, they take a bet and just experiment with what could be possible. And from our experience, it then will show up pretty fast that there is a shift outside of the organization, realities that are there, and they're not just opportunities, they are realities that people will need to face. But sometimes you need to open people's eyes. And the only thing we need is that these executives are open to take another bet than the one they've already taken in the past.
Yeah, you want to get this complacency out of the way. Just because things are good, they're not going to stay or remain good forever. So you need to act and be proactive has been shown to be a more successful approach than to wait until you're pushed in the corner and you have to you get all these punches and you don't know how to get out. So my opinion is that it's better to be prepared and that you can, by means of these bets and these experiments, you have an answer when that attack occurs.